Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here, especially great to be indoors. So whether you wanted to be here or not, you came because it's at least cooler, I know that. I'm delighted to be joined by the Lieutenant Governor, Senate President Spilka, Senate Ways and Means Chair Rodrigues, House Ways and Means Chair Michaelwitz, secretaries from our administration, including Secretary Gorkowitz, Secretary Tibbetts-Nutt, Secretary Tutwiler, our MBTA General Manager, Phil Ang, Administrator Schlesinger, Administrator Gulliver. We also have with us Tom McGee, Chair of the MBTA Board and a mass.gov board member, Catherine Craven, Chair of the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, Boston Chamber President Jim Rooney, Mass Taxpayers Foundation President Doug Howgate, and other members of our Transportation Funding Task Force are here as well. I also want to thank other colleagues in the building, Senator Gomez, Representative Howard, among others who are here. So I'm here today to sign a law that is going to make transformative investments in Massachusetts. Transformative investments, $1.3 billion in two of the most critical needs we have, transportation and education. Today we're taking action because transportation, it's the infrastructure that supports our economy and our quality of life. Education, where we're the #1 state in the country, we know there's always more that we can do. Let me take you through transportation and what we're doing here. This is the first big installment in our 10-year plan. When we took office 2 years ago, our state's transportation system was showing the effects of decades of underinvestment. We were determined to do things differently, and we did. And what we can say now to drivers, riders, taxpayers is that the money that you invest is getting results, and that the money that we're going to invest will get results. We've all seen the results on the T when you have a leader like Phil Ang and his team finally running the system right. Phil set a goal of fixing all the MBTA tracks by the end of 2024, and he and his team got the job done. For the first time in over 20 years, the T is running full speed, no slow zones on every line. Riders are saving a total of 2.4 million minutes every single workday. Today, we begin the next phase of investments in transportation, including at the T. With over $500 million, this funding provides real fiscal stability for the T for the first time in decades. And as this money enters the system, you will see continued improvement in service and reliability. This is about a lot more than the T. We're also investing $100 million in what we need to do for our local roads and bridges. So important because, again, for too long, these things were underinvested in. So it's $100 million more for roads and bridges, $50 million to upgrade and connect regional transit authorities. These improvements will cut traffic times, reduce commute, and grow our economy in every region across the state. We announced this transportation plan at the beginning of January. Today, we begin to bring it to life. We aren't done, but this is the start of a new era of modern, reliable transportation all across Massachusetts. And we're also making substantial investments in education. We know that we're still making up for learning loss that our kids suffered during COVID. So today, we're investing $26 million in high-dosage tutoring to get them help. This funding will provide thousands of kids from kindergarten through 3rd grade with one-on-one, individualized tutoring sessions. It's going to make a big difference for our kids. We're doing it because we know it works. It's proven to be so highly effective in closing learning gaps that we wanted to scale it up here to make sure that our kids are getting up to speed, getting back on track, and are ready to thrive. We're also providing $250 million for local districts to cover special education costs and transportation. $100 million, $100 million to expand access to our technical schools, and $45 million to continue to expand access to affordable childcare for our families. We're doing all of this at a critical moment. Right now, we know that we cannot count on the president or Congress's support for investments much needed in our infrastructure, including our schools. In fact, they're doing just the opposite. So we have to take action ourselves, and we're going to continue to work together to move Massachusetts forward. That's exactly what we're doing today. I am grateful once again to the team in our office for the work that's been done on all of this, and I know we'll make good use of this revenue and get the most for our taxpayers. I am also particularly grateful to our partners in the legislature as we continue to work together to deliver for people here in the state. And with that, I want to thank and welcome to the podium Senate President Karen Spilka.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. I know it's hot out, I won't repeat it, but, it's good to see all of you. It's very exciting. I want to thank Governor Healey and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for their partnership throughout this and all of the other issues that we're tackling here in Massachusetts to protect our residents and defend Massachusetts values and help lead us during these difficult times. I'd like to thank Secretary Gorkowitz, Senate Ways and Means Chair Rodrigues, Chair Michaelwitz, Speaker Mariano, every senator and rep that is here, because all of you had input and have a piece of this and should be proud of this bill. I'd like to also thank all the legislative staff that worked on this bill, because so many of you also were active, participated, and made this bill much stronger and better, so thank you. I'd like to also recognize former Senator George Bachrach, who is here with 20 CAP interns to observe us and see what's going on and see legislating in action. Welcome. Make sure that you take time to explore the State House. This is your house. This is a living museum. It's a historic building. Everywhere you look, there's something else of living history. And it's a fabulous museum and building to take advantage of. So make sure you explore while you are here. What is in this bill is so critical, but I want to take a moment to talk about the process that this went through as well. I have to say I'm proud that both of our chambers worked really hard and really responsibly to allocate the dollars that our residents voted to send to public education and public transportation. That is what this millionaire's tax fair share funding is for, and that is what we did. We divided it up for public education, public transportation, which both topics we all know needed infusions of funding to be stronger and better. And after we passed our versions, both the House and Senate acted quickly to resolve our differences and send a bill to the governor and deliver these funds to the state and to our residents. This was a great process, I have to say, and I'm really proud of our shared work here. Massachusetts residents should be proud of this as well. The investments in this bill are, simply put, game changers. Regional transit authorities will get millions of capital dollars and workforce retention to connect every single region of our state. The Commonwealth's biggest regional transit authority, the MBTA, gets its needed funding as well to set it on a strong path and move forward. We also deliver investments to paved roads, unpaved roads, microtransit, our ferries, our culverts, and our other areas across the state, because we believe in regional equity here and making sure every area of the state gets some of these critical funds. Every area of the state paid into this surplus, so every area of the state is getting some back. We include $100 million to expand career technical education opportunities across Massachusetts, which is a growing area for all areas as well. I said we would deliver at the beginning of the session, and we got it done. At this moment, as the governor mentioned, unfortunately, the federal government is literally walking away from support for education, cutting funds terribly, and I'm really proud that in Massachusetts, we are doubling down on education and on transportation, and I really look forward to the coming months and years seeing all of the good that comes from this funding. And Governor, I'd suggest that you keep a pen close to be ready for the next budget as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, and now I would like to bring up to the podium, please give a round of applause for House Chair Ways and Means Michaelwitz and for all the great work he has done and is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you for your leadership, and no pressure there on getting that this budget, the next thing done, right? But I just wanted to thank you all for being here. I thank you to Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, for all your work on this discussion, and to your team, Secretary Gerkowitz, and everyone that was a part of the administration in terms of getting us to this point. We really appreciate all your collaboration and work in getting us to here. And so on behalf of Speaker Mariano, thank you for having me. By signing this $1.38 billion supplemental budget bill, we are today closing the books on our first year of implementing the fair share revenue. Giving us further flexibility on our spending on education and transportation has been critical for our long-term economic stability. And whether you voted for the question or not back in 2022, the initiatives that this money that is being finalized in this bill that are being used are really hard to argue against. Education initiatives like universal school meals, free community college, early education C3 grants will help continue to lead and continue to make us one of the strongest educational systems in the country. Record investments in our MBTA and RTA systems on the transportation side will help get us back to a system that we can continue to be proud of. These are real dollars that are making real impacts, that are going to have real economic growth here for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This particular budget bill will help balance the scales between the education and transportation departments, an important element on the original ballot initiatives from the question, with more transportation spending on this side, particularly with the $535 million on this bill going to the MBTA system improvements and upgrades. And I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it again, the reason why the legislature feels so confident in investing in the MBTA is by the work by Secretary Tibbetts-Nutt and the General Manager Ng. Those two have taken this bull by the horns under the leadership of the governor and have really trying to build back our system so we can be proud of our system. The only problem for the GM is that I have a cell phone, and when I get stuck on the MBTA, whenever that does happen, him and his team have to hear it from me directly. So, if we're going to give you the money, you're going to have to take the calls. I'm sorry. All right. But I do want to thank you, really, for the work that you guys continue to do. I want to particularly thank the House leadership for all their efforts, particularly Education Chair Gordon and Transportation Chair Arciero, two people that are new in their roles, but were certainly very helpful and big in helping us get to this point today. I want to especially thank our counterparts in the Senate, Senate President Spilka, and of course my counterpart, Senate Ways and Means Chair Mike Rodrigues, for their continued collaboration, continued efforts, and for still talking to me after all this time. So congratulations to everyone who advocated for this. Congratulations to everyone who, for a particular piece in this fair share spending that is yours, that I know that you particularly care about. Today is a great day, and we're going to keep it rolling. Thank you so much. And without any further ado, it is my honor to introduce and bring over to the microphone Jim Rooney, the Boston Chamber of Commerce chair, not only a friend, but someone who's been a transportation advocate for decades now. I don't want to say how long, but all right, Jim Rooney, everyone. Well,
Yeah, thank you for your kindness. It has been a very long time, so. And I do offer my remarks in the spirit of the front row seat that I do have in watching legislation and like this and public policy issues like the ones we're talking about work their way through. And I can't say enough about the leadership of the governor, the Senate president, the speaker, the chairs, and thanking them for their leadership to prioritize investments in transportation and education, and for going after these issues with such purpose. As someone who has had a front row seat for a long time, it is quite refreshing to see the way that these issues are being approached. So thank you on behalf of not just the business community, but the citizens of the Commonwealth. I'm here to talk mostly about transportation, but I do want to acknowledge the presence of a colleague, Ed Lambert, who leads the Massachusetts Business Alliance for Education. Ed is the person that, if Ed calls and says, Jim, we got to get behind this issue, we get behind the issue, and it's certainly important to the entire business community that the focus on education remain, whether it's early childhood education or technical education, community college access. These are our future workers. These are the people that are going to be the ones that lead the Commonwealth, lead the business community in so many ways going forward. So we certainly prioritize education when we talk about what we do. And Ed, thank you for your partnership. With that, the focus of my remarks will be mostly on transportation. And I wanted to tell you why. We survey our members, we survey the people of the Commonwealth quite a bit to learn what's on their minds, what types of public policy issues they care about. And in the business community, we hear a lot about housing, and we hear about climate change, and we hear the many issues that might be on your mind. But the one issue that we hear about most frequently, every day, virtually, is transportation. And that's because, in my mind, it's such a personal issue. Every one of us has a transportation experience at least twice a day, something that we either enjoy or that bothers us. That we wonder why they don't fix that, but there's an experience. So point one is it's a deeply personal issue. Point two is that as you think about all of those other public policy priorities, whether it's housing, whether it's access to education, healthcare, or jobs, whether it's climate change, and you think about how do we solve those issues, transportation and mobility is in the solutions bucket for every single one of those. So funding for transportation matters quite a bit. I share all the sentiments that have been expressed before about why transportation needs this kind of funding. We have a lot of work to do to rebuild our transportation systems and networks, and Jonathan Gulliver and Phil Ing and Secretary Tibbetts Nutt are doing a great job at that. But this is a long-term thing. This is after decades, and Chairman Michaelwitz mentioned it. I've been at this for a long time. So I got to witness this disinvestment, underinvestment, mismanagement that we were left with. And it's now time to fix it. And I think about this time, I've said it before, 2024 is the year that we turn the corner and started to do things right. And it's going to be a long game. This is one of the first times in recent memory that I can remember, because of this bill and the budget that's coming up, that we're not talking about how is the T going to deal with the fiscal cliff of the next fiscal year. Give a guy like Phil Ing the opportunity to plan, to execute what he's doing without wondering, am I going to have the money to do what I need to do? So this moment is about providing stability while we talk about how we're going to fund the big investments, how we're going to provide long-term what the state needs and deserves to fulfill not only the economy that we want, but the quality of life that we all want going forward. So congratulations to everyone up here that made it happen. We're very grateful. And with that, I'll turn it back to Governor Healey.
Thanks, Jim. Great. Thank you so much, Madam President and Chair Michaelwitz and Jim, for your comments. Any questions on topic? All right.